This is your girl Yui, and today's video I will be doing a little story time. So if you know you're interested in listening to a story time, feel free to stick through. I am going to be sharing my experience of how I lost a friend now. And so I had this friend that I knew from like years ago. So we met. The way we met was so weird. So we met about 2002 2003 ish, and we met through online. So we met online, and I used to go into this little MSN chat back in the days, and there used to be some weirdos that used to kind of like, hit me up. And sometimes that was how I was so idle with my time, and that was how I would be kind of like flirting with people. But there's some old ass, excuse my language, there's old on there, and they're always looking for like pretty much anyone to talk to. And I was always wasting my time when I'm not doing anything that's like school related. I just go on MSN chat and I'll chat away. And I met this girl. She kind of like defended me in a little chat disagreement, and that is how we kind of like private message each other. About 16 at the time, or just turned 16 or something like that. And we just kind of like we clicked pretty much. Anywho, I lost this girl, and let's call her Layla. So Layla and we became really good friend. Shit, I don't know. We became really good friend. We met up at the mall in person, and we just kind of like became friends, and we would talk, we'll hang out. And she literally understood me because I'm like an empath, or I had the empath characteristic, and I believe she was an empath to a limit, I guess. And we literally we would talk on and off, and I was always all over the place. So fast forward 2 years, then I got married in my 20s, and then I had my first child, and after that we kind of clicked again. So we didn't talk for like throughout the whole process of my high school, but we kind of like clicked again after I had my first child. So she was kind of like, those kind of people that are like in your life for a little bit, then you kind of fell off, and then you pick up again and you're like buddies again. It was kind of like that. So anywho, after that we talked, and me struggling with so many baggage, like I had issues, I had insecurity problems, I had so many weird things, and I just couldn't figure out myself. And I thought getting married will seal the deal, but that was just that was just the beginning. So we were good friend. I think we were a good friend. Most people didn't really had a good vibe around this Layla girl. We would meet up. One thing I like about Layla, she was so adventurous. She would like, because I'm like a homebody. I've always been a homebody kind of person. She would pull me out, especially if I go into my little complaining mode, and she would like pull me out and be like, let's go out, let's go here. And I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do it because of the baby. She's like, no, you can bring the baby, let's go there, let's there. And that was how I was always kind of like getting out of the house, because she had that adventurous spirit in her, and I really appreciate that about her. Now, the one thing is, as time progressed, I start to like learn about myself and who I am. And by the time it was like a 09 10 ish, I was like kind of like wavering off, because I got married in 06. So 9 10 ish, I was still like indecisive, all over the place. I was a mess. Oh my gosh, I want to tell you guys a story. I was a mess, but that's for another day. And basically, we would go out, we'd go clubbing. Yes, in the meanwhile, I was still considered saved, or at least I thought I was saved. Saved and still clubbing with the devil. Hey, yeah, I was literally like, I thought I was saved. So I'll go clubbing. I read my Bible, have my little church time, talk to my little Jesus on the side, and have my little Bible time, and then I'll go clubbing, I'll go partying, and then keep in mind I was married and still married, but and majority of my friends then, they were not married, so I felt kind of like mentally I was still kind of like married or something like that. Single, so it just thinking about it, it really it was a hot mess. I was a hot mess compared to now. So thanks to God for grace, because a lot of people don't even get to see grace for this long. And now fast forward to 2015, so like around 2011ish, I started to kind of like back away slowly, because I wanted to get deeper with the Lord. I wanted to get to know him. I didn't want to be lukewarm. I didn't want to be fornicating or committing adultery or whatever it is I was doing at the time. I just didn't want to be worldly in my mindset. So I was like having that power struggle with my walk and with the Lord, my faith and everything. And then I said, I don't want this type of friends anymore. I want to be different. I want to be a role model. I want to be the one that's like, encouraging and things like that. And I thought I could do it. I just couldn't, and I went right back. So we didn't talk for like a few years. So when I moved from where I was living then I moved to a newer suburban area. I didn't have anyone to kind of talk to like that every day, and we were like talking every single day. My gosh, it was too much. Looking back now, it was way too much. And I talked. Oh my gosh, I can talk. Oh gosh, that old Yui, I wish I could just smack her up or something. And this wake her up. I could talk. I would talk all these things about my husband, chat all this, do all these things about this one, that one, and I was like the queen of the. We kind of start talking again through Facebook, and then after that we talked a little bit. And I think what really made it hard for me to let go of the relationship was I always try to see the good in people, and not like in terms of negative way or things like that. But in the last couple of years, apart from COVID happening, about like 2018, 2017, I went through something really hard with my first child, and thank God he's still here. And I started to change my thought process, and I just like went to the Lord and be like, I don't want no friends like this. I don't want to be that type of friend either. So if you could start changing me. So I wanted to make the change of changing my habit of eating and how I speak. And I was holding back a lot of things. I wasn't the vocal person that I used to be, and just kind of like without thinking of repercussion or things like that. And then I just kind of like prayed about it, but I was still kind of struggling with it. And I remember we were still talking, and by 2019, the Lord used her in such a way that I was able to go on a beautiful trip. If you haven't seen that video when I went to Pura Vida, that was my first Costa Rica trip. And since I've been to Canada, I've never really kind of stepped out and take a plane. And the Lord used this girl to kind of like bless me, and we went on a trip together. And we've always had our issue, but I didn't think it was going to be so bad. So we had to share a room together, like the trip. And before the trip, I had like some medical issue where I was like, bleeding and things like that. And I think that kind of helped mess with my hormonal issue. And when women are moody and things like that, it's the worst because they can't really talk. They got this attitude issue thing going on. Woman. So that, I feel like that was kind of like part of it as well. And then right before that, I noticed some issue, like, cause like when I see someone looking good, and Layla was the type of girl, she would look good, like she would make sure, she just was like, she focused more, I feel like she focused more on the outward experience, and I was always like not too focused on my outward, but I always want to fix what's going on the inside. So it was like that. And I remember we'll be like, oh, let's go do her nails. I'm doing nails, and she'll have like some nice long nails, and I just try to like do the medium size. And I remember going to her nail lady, and the nail lady picked a beautiful color that's pretty much similar to the color that she was going to do for the trip, and I didn't, and that was a problem. So I'm like, oh, red flag right there. Like, why you should be happy that your best friend likes the color. I mean, she's not really trying to copy you, but she likes the color, and the nail lady picked it up. So what's the issue? And that was a flag. And then that was the year I was like telling the Lord, help me to keep my tongue, help me not to talk so much about my marriage, help me not to talk about the issue in my marriage, help me not to complain about myself, what I'm dealing with, what I'm working on. And right after the trip, even before we went, there was like already a tension. And then right after it, there was like awkward silence. And then I just was going through some personal things and things like that. And I didn't want to be too forceful. So I had to kind of learn how to give Layla space. And that was hard because you talk every day. Like, that's your home girl. You talk every day. You talk about everything. And she knows the in it bit. And that's just too much. So I basically had to learn how to be quiet and silent, and it was so hard for me because when I get so close to somebody, I just want to be like, not too much in their space, but like I just want to be chatty. And that's, as an adult, that's something that you really have to know when to put a stop to and apply wisdom. And yeah, so that happened, and ever since we stopped talking, that's kind of like, we stopped talking because I mentioned something about me having a baby, and I didn't say anything right away because of the issue. I didn't want to talk about it too much. I just wanted to make sure that everything went well with my pregnancy. And when I opened that up, it was a thing. It opened up a thing for me because I'm a firm believer in, if I want an answer to something and I know that the Most High is able to do it for me, I'm going to petition him. Like the woman that keeps going to the judge, I'm going to petition him until either he answers me or he doesn't. So I did that, and my peace was at rest. But the moment I opened up and shared that part of my pregnancy, and the seed that was being sowed, like, what she was telling me, it didn't resonate with my spirit. So I just said things like, I think I'll talk to you another time. And that was what sparked the fight, where she didn't want to talk about me. So she go on WhatsApp and start posting all these subliminal messages. Then
seriously, what the fuck are you doing?
I started doing the same thing, and it was just so stupid. And the moment that I kind of like stopped opening up to her about personal things, I realized that I felt like I was actually the problem. I felt like I should have just held on to personal things, but at that time I didn't know how to. I pretty much lost my best friend because I told her I was expecting, and then I didn't want to have the conversation based on her response. Then I said I'll talk to you some other time, and that just triggered something, and there was like animosity, and we just kind of fell out. And then the whole COVID thing happened, and I never reached out. I tried a couple of times, but I stopped because I'm like, I'm not forcing this. Then we just kind of unfollow like each other on social media. Like, me, keep in mind, this was 17 years of friendship, or going on 18 or whatever. Doesn't really even matter. and we just kind of fell out. And there are days where I'd miss it, like the fun times, but I don't miss the character. Like, and I'm sure she might feel like that about me. She might feel like I wasn't a good friend, and maybe there's some things I could have done, but I felt like at that time I was just trying to protect my peace of mind and not share too much of me anymore. I had good friends, and I still say I have some good friends in my life, but when it comes to saying this one is the best a friend, it just doesn't make sense. This is a high school, that's elementary, but that's my opinion. So if you have a best friend and you guys are good, right? Good, keep it going. Me, I don't do best friend. The only best friend that I can say that I have on earth is my children and my spouse, because I'm really trying to get to know him more day by day, and just live in peace and love. But when it comes to a female best friend, none of that is in my book anymore. There are some people that still kind of refer to me as that, and that's their term, but for me, I can say that I don't have a best friend, and I'm happy with that. So with no further ado, if you enjoyed this kind of story time, please give this video a thumbs up so I can push out more stories, because I got a lot of crazy stories, a lot of things that I've done and I was ashamed of, indeed. And I am a living testimony. I am a living witness of that. I am free from my past and the things I used to do and how I used to live and how I used to carry myself. I am free, and Satan ain't got nothing.